it was just such a different world. And, it seems like such an insignificant thing. But when you're sitting there in
Wow.
a table of 20 other professionals, and you're supposed to know, but you didn't even know that you're supposed to know these kind of things, because that's like deemed as etiquette on the
Mm-hmm.
table. And you're there and you don't know, you just all of a sudden just feel like you don't belong. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that feeling kind of just keeps increasing and
Building.
increasing every time you have those experiences. And I share this because I had to rewrite for me what it means to belong. and
Mm.
and I had to realize that there was no way I could rewrite my past.
Mm.
My parents raised me the way they raised me, and there were things that probably they ways they raised me that maybe it doesn't serve me now, but
Yeah.
I can't be victim to that anymore.
Mm.
They
And
raised you how they thought was best.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Banter Over Brunch.
Yes, episode 125. Thank you guys so much for joining us on yet another special
Episode. You know,
episode.
125 is like halfway, like quarter way through 200.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so yeah. We are
Tonight,
already on
we're
125.
trying, we're trying.
That,
And as you guys can see today, we also have a guest. So tick.
yeah. Tick. This season, we told you we are not sleeping. So yeah, we have an amazing guest joining us today.
Yes.
Before we let her introduce herself, a reminder for you to subscribe wherever you're listening from. Last week, countable people listened to the call of subscription.
Yeah.
We are checking the numbers. You better subscribe. Follow on social media at Bantover Branch on all the major social media platforms. I think TikTok is where it has been performing good. I think we'll do an episode to just read those comments that you guys are leaving there. But yeah, tunashukuru either way. And yes, anything
Keep
else?
it up. Yeah, just
Keep it
encourage
up.
them also.
Yes,
Sikila
just
Skuma
encourage.
Somo.
Also-
Keep it up, guys. Continue
Keep it up, guys.
listening to the podcast. We had an amazing episode this last two weeks as well.
yes,
we had
we
Cinta
had-
and we
yes.
had the Sisters in Crime. So
And
I
the
hope you guys
podcast
have
is now
got a-
officially out, actually, Sisters in Crime. So,
Yes.
Alexia, I think you give it a listen.
Yes, I
which
did.
should
I was a
soon.
bit like, I didn't know if it was very scary, because it's about true crime stories. But the way they did it, it was very nice and very engaging. So
Okay,
shout out
yeah.
to
Shout out
Nani and
to them.
Kavanya. Yes, so my name is Alexia Msao.
My name is Alice Kanji.
And with us today,
Hi, I am Rebecca Muriuki.
yes. Welcome, Rebecca. We've been trying to lock down this date for a while, but today is the perfect day, and we're
Yeah.
so excited to have you on the podcast.
Yes, I love the determination, and I was really determined to
Yes.
make this happen. So
So were
excited.
we. So were we. We were trying
Yeah.
to figure out where in our schedules we can fit this in. But I think today was the day, and we're just very happy to have you on board and to just share with us whatever we're going to be discussing today. So yeah. Where do we begin? So Alexa, you can tell us about your week first, or do we
Yes.
tell our guests to tell us about her week first?
Yeah, I think I want to hear about Rebecca's week before my week. I feel like, but yeah, maybe we start with Rebecca. How's your week been? It's a new month. How are you feeling? How's the quarter so far?
Yeah, it's just incredible how we're already in November. And I
Yes.
feel like we just blinked our eyes and
Yeah.
January became November. so-
Actually, I was listening to, I saw this TikTok, I think this morning, of this comedian who was saying that November is such an interesting month because everybody spends time to just saying, I can't believe it's November. I can't believe it's November.
The whole month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was April. Yeah, I mean, but we went through the other months, but
Yeah, and
I don't know,
here we
November
are.
has this feeling towards it, like, oh my gosh, the year is actually ending and December is here. So yeah. Okay, sorry for the interruption. You can proceed.
Yeah, so clearly whoever gave that TikTok knew what they were talking about, because I've
Yeah.
just said it. But yeah, it's been a great start to the month. I love starts to the month. I kind of feel like it's refreshing,
Yes.
new opportunities. You
Yeah.
get to like reset, restart,
Yeah.
and a new chance to maybe do the things you weren't able to do the previous
Yeah.
month. So I'm excited about these last 2 months. Motherhood wise, it's been interesting. yeah, just planning for year end. My
Yes.
son's school, there's so many activities going on. There is a bonfire night, so they
Hey.
celebrate bonfire night. It's kind of like a riff off of Halloween.
Yeah.
So we've been planning that a lot. So a lot has been going on.
What do you mean by planning that a lot? Like, as a parent, what do you have to do for the bonfire preparations?
Oh, a lot. Gosh. Honestly, I feel like it's a full-time job.
Yes.
So we've got to buy all the gifts because there's raffles. There are
Mm.
these games that they have at the bonfire night where kids get to contribute towards the gifts. We have to wrap the gifts. Yesterday I was at their school wrapping up some of
Wow.
the gifts. Last week we were
Wow.
painting some of the
Hey,
placards to
are
be
you
put on the
in
tents.
school, or is it your
You know?
But I love it. I feel like with me, that's the type of parent I am planning to be, because I think my parents were very not like, oh, you have an event, okay, so what do you want me to do? You know, so I'm
Like,
so excited
yeah.
to participate in all those little
little activities.
cute things.
No,
Yeah.
it's very interesting because you think that the journey stops at you taking the kid to school.
Hey.
Then now, oh, there's an activity, you have to pay for this trip. You
Yeah.
have to, I don't know, help them wrap these gifts, wrap the school books, like they used to
Yes,
do.
a lot of things.
Yeah. Hey, all the
nice.
best.
Thank you.
So
You're
when's-
in for a treat.
yeah, when's the bonfire? Like,
It's on Saturday evening,
oh,
so
that's
hopefully
nice.
the rain holds up
Yes.
and we can have a good time with the kids.
Okay.
that's nice. How many children do you have?
I have 3.
Oh,
so
nice.
my
Wow.
firstborn is 6, so he's the one who just went to primary school,
Yes.
and then I have twins who are 3.5.
I love
Twin
twins.
mom.
Oh,
Oh my
that's so
gosh.
cute.
I know Alexia has been dreaming of getting
Yeah.
twins. So
I'll give you some tips.
Yes, me and Rebecca
I feel like it's
talk
so
after
difficult.
this.
Like 2 babies at once.
Yeah, I want to
Yes.
prove them.
You're the one. Unaweza. I mean, it's possible. What can you do? If it happens, it happens. You just have to
you
go
have
with
to.
it. Yeah.
Can you to do? But those people like you see on news who have like 9 children or like 8 children. Have you
Like
seen those
my
articles?
grandmother.
I'm like, no, like at once.
At once. Oh,
I'm like, no, buy one,
quadruplets.
get one free. Me, I'm giving out this
Just one. Just
we are,
one.
I'm giving a cousin here, a sister here. Yeah. But and you see, they manage at the end of the day.
I don't know. I feel like by the time you get a kid, maybe you're just naturally, or things just fall into place. I don't know. I'm just assuming that you'll find
Your
a way
fault-
to
they
make
have-
it work.
Yes.
Like even if they're 7 or 8, somehow they'll survive, and you'll get the job done. So I'm hoping that's it. Hey, motherhood is something Alexia seems to have thought about more than me, but I'm very interested to.
You'll
think
be
that's
shocked
what
you
we'll
might
also be talking
join the
about.
hood.
Aye, please.
Before.
Maybe you'll join first. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, I think I know. It's I don't know. I think it's I don't think of it in the near future. But again, I don't know. Babies are surprises sometimes. I don't know. You never know. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll just see God's plan. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Maybe I can. Maybe I can talk a lot. So maybe
Yeah.
Alexia, you go next on your week.
Oh, my week's been good. November is here again. How did we get here? Like, I think it hits guys that it's actually the year is ending, and I feel like guys already slowing down somehow.
Yeah.
You know how things are in December. Everyone's like, let's just pick that up next year. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Christmas, as I've mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned here that I've been really wanting to decorate for Christmas for such a long time. And I always say there's never the perfect time. Last year I was like, we were moving houses, so we were just moved. Like, there's always a reason where like, okay, let me just put it up. But this year I'm like, you know what? No, it's something I want to do. So let me do it, and let me enjoy doing it. And I feel like you get better at decorating with time. So I'm not putting so much pressure on myself to get everything at now, different plates, different mats and all that, because it can be an expensive affair. But
Sorry, you moved out.
I'm saying last year.
Oh, last
I was
year.
moving.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So I
okay.
didn't. I was not in that frame of mind for doing that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Christmas bananas. They say it's the most beautiful time of the year, and somehow it's just like an in feeling. I think because people are available, people are relaxed, guys are off work most of the time. So it's sort of like, let's come together, family, fun times. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Do you have a Christmas tree?
not yet, but by next week it should have landed. Yeah, it should have landed,
Wow.
and I'm looking forward to doing that.
I don't know. I feel like for me, my parents at some point, being the last one, they gave up on the decorating. So I didn't. Growing up, like we never really had like Christmas decorations and stuff. But I think seeing my siblings' pictures and I can see
Yes.
that this is something that they used to do.
Oy.
So maybe okay,
Pick it up again.
maybe yeah. I can't wait to get my house and then finally be able to do that for myself and just like enjoy and celebrate, because I love celebrations. Any given point where there's an opportunity to celebrate, no matter how
Yeah.
small or big, I'm very much interested in being involved because I like being around people. So yeah, Alexia, I'm moving out soon, for real now, for real.
I'm ready. So I'm bringing you a carpet.
Yes. So now start getting ready with the
Get ready.
finances.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's anything else that you want to...
No, not really. I'm just sort of also, may I have that thing of also doing things to next year. Especially when it reaches this point, I'm like, okay,
I'll
what
do it
much can
next
I
year.
really do? But still also setting a foundation for those things that I still want to pick up next
Yeah.
year. Because of course there are new habits, I'm
it's
thinking.
important.
So I'm just trying to get a system so it's not such a shock, to my body and all that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I've had quite a week. My sister just gave birth. I'm an auntie.
First time
I'm
auntie,
first
actually,
time auntie to baby Howie,
Yeah.
and I'm just very excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an auntie now. Will I have to like do
Yeah.
like like I said, I'm the last born, so it's like the first child that is actually very connected to me, and kind of
directly,
having
yeah.
to now learn maybe what motherhood could look like if we go that direction. And yeah, I'm just very excited for that, and I couldn't be happier that it went well, although it was very scary because it was premature labor, because the baby was a January baby, ideally mid-January. But then she said, October 30th, I need to be outside this womb.
Let's be an October
Yeah.
baby.
Yes. So it was a bit scary because you're like, oh my gosh, it's premature. It's the first baby of the family. So everybody's kind of on their toes. But mom delivered well. The baby is also very well, just staying in the incubator for a bit of time for the organs to fully develop. So we can't really see her, but we just know she's there. And yeah, also just learning that it's expensive.
Yes. Yes.
Just hearing the hospital bills, like the baby needs like 2 doses of something, like to help build the organs of, I don't know what it is
Steroids,
exactly. Maybe it's
Yeah, the
steroids.
steroids,
Yeah.
yeah.
One was 74,000
Hey, Bo.
and I'm just like, okay, so that's just the steroids. My sister has been in hospital the whole week. The baby has to stay in a month. I'm just like,
Yeah.
having a baby. Yeah, that insurance, you need it for sure. But yeah, it's just very exciting for me, as well as on my Tech Story Africa, which if you don't know by now, Rebecca, maybe you don't know, I also have another podcast, but it's a tech-focused podcast platform, so to say. And we now have a content writer on the team, which is very exciting, and kind of starting to build my like whole media empire agency,
Yeah.
because that was ultimately like one of the goals that I had. And my word of the year from my birthday was entrepreneurship. So I think for me, the next 2 months is just planning and strategizing how we're going to get there, and how to fully now start like even getting clients or just doing the thing basically. And just now we've been learning how to manage a team. Now it's like 3 people, and it's kind of like, it's been progressive.
growth,
When I
yeah.
started this idea of creating this tech focused podcast or media, I just didn't imagine it could grow to this thing. I kind of just saw it as, oh, I'm gonna be an influencer, but just focusing on tech because I have a passion for it. But now it's seemingly bigger than, even the dream has become bigger than I could have imagined. And it's just been very interesting to see the journey. And yeah, season 2 is also going good. So if you haven't already, listen to my Tech Story Africa, because I'm just very excited for the journey that is going on there. And yes, what else has happened? Yeah, Honeycomb is also doing good. Thank you guys who downloaded and bought shoes from BUB. And yeah,
Baby.
no, like, see, in the last episode I told you guys we have an offer on Honeycomb. So I guess we sold out, and it was my campaign. So I mean, that was a really good corporate. I think corporate wise, I've been feeling like big wins for me. So yeah, just very excited. Waiting for Kilifi as well. New Year's beneath the baobab. It's where me and my boyfriend met, and now we are renewing it. And yeah, it's just very exciting. Yeah.
New Year's, wow. Rebecca, what are you doing for New Year's? Okay, I even forgot this New Year's. Anyway,
Do you have any New Year's plans
Myself,
with your family? Yes.
yeah, we'll probably be in coast. That's like our traditional thing to do, even though you find the whole of Nairobi,
Nairobi
there.
there.
But
yeah, it's
You're going
so
to relax
nice.
and everybody's there, and then the relaxation is not happening. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're also expecting a baby in the family in December. So, man, full auntie duties. I feel like that's how my Christmas and New Year's is probably going to be. But it can still be fun.
I mean, I guess
Nairobi
it
is
will
still
be fun.
bambas by then. You're to a coast. Mnaendanga.
Yeah, I mean, just want a change of environment. But me, I think December, January, heavy travel month for me, and I'm just really excited for that. Like Kisumu, coast, wherever we'll end up going for our offsite. So yeah, I'm just
Looking
forward to it.
forward.
maybe we'll bump into each other, you know.
We may. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised, but it would be a blessing if we do. Yeah, so that I can see you.
Okay,
little-
FOMO. Anyway.
I think now we can get into the episode.
Yeah. I think
So-
we just want to first get to know Rebecca. Maybe
Yeah.
just give us a brief history of who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, wow, how many hours do you have? Because I could.
We
We
got
have enough time. We have time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, joking. I do have like the Cliff Notes version, so that's the one that I'll share.
Okay.
So, yeah, for those who are listening, you've probably noticed that my accent is a bit not the norm. So I was born in Kenya, 100% proudly Kenyan, but bred and raised in South Africa. So when I was a kid, around 3 years, we moved just at around the time when apartheid was ending, or the transition to the new government. And so I lived there all my life, and then I started my career there. So, you know, as typical parents, Kenyan parents, and I think it's just a general African thing, we were always brought up with this narrative of you've got to work hard, keep out of trouble,
Yeah.
keep your head down, make sure you stay out of trouble and just do what you're there to do. And I went with that mentality throughout, you know, my school years, my formative years, university, and then corporate career. And then I got to work, and the first day of work and first month, I was trying to use the same narrative, but it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Like the rules of the game had changed, but
Whoa.
I didn't know about it. And I didn't have parents who were in mainstream corporate
Yeah.
who could sort of parent
Guide
me
you.
from a work perspective to prepare me for that. Fast forward to getting into corporate, before I even talk about what happened there, I was the only Black woman. So 10 years
Wow.
ago, I mean, the diversity has definitely improved in my career. I studied actuarial science. I'm a qualified actuary. But when I got to the workplace, I was the only Black chick in the room.
And this was
the
in South
This was
Africa?
in South Africa.
Wow.
So everyone else was non-Black or Caucasian. There were a few Asians in the team. And so already I felt like I didn't belong. No one
Yeah,
had to
for
say
sure.
anything. I just could see the people in the room. But then the rules of the game had also changed. So the whole work hard and you'll get the reward didn't actually work
apply.
anymore in the corporate sense as it did in our school years, where you study, you get rewarded, right, by getting good grades and the likes. And so it just took me on to this whole journey of discovering who I am, what is my purpose, understanding even how to relate that into a context, or fitting it, trying to not even fit in, but trying to live in a mold where it wasn't actually created for you to fit
Yeah.
in. Because those careers traditionally are still very much white male dominated. A lot of them. Tech,
Yeah.
finance, many of these industries where we find ourselves in are still very much, you know, male ego driven. And you now have to figure out, how do you actually not try to fit in, because sometimes fitting in also doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
But how do you stand out but still survive and thrive in that environment.
And be happy
Yeah,
also. Like,
and just and I just have a follow-up question on some of the things that we've mentioned. So you're saying that this was a time when you were in South Africa and you're in a corporate space where you're the only Black person. I want to know why that's the case, and what was it that Black people were not educated in those particular fields enough to kind of be in those office spaces. I just find that quite strange. It's like coming to Kenya and the office is just full of white people. I feel that makes me feel a bit out of place and questioning
in your
that. So
country.
I just
No, it's not
wanted- I
even
just wanted
abroad.
to-
yeah.
yeah.
In
So
an
I'm just-
African country. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just interested to
South
know like
Africa,
why that was the case. Was it the economic climate at that time? What was that made it
The
be
racial
that way?
climate,
You know?
maybe.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I'm sure historically there have been a lot of issues that South Africa has had to deal with when it comes to ensuring that everyone gets equal opportunities. And so a lot of these careers, like in the actuarial field or in finance, tech, were very much closed knit. And so when I went into the workplace, which was like 12 years ago, I think the diversity levels were around 10%. So only 10% of the entire actuarial professional contingent in South Africa was Black.
Wow.
And at that time, I think there were just under 1,000 qualified actuaries, maybe like 3,000 who had studied it. And so already there was not an even playing field. And so that also now influenced how the diversity looked like in the workplace as well.
Okay, then that makes sense. And okay, yeah, I think the next questions will come as we go, but it's just very interesting to hear that. And before you even decided to pursue actuarial, what was it that made you feel you want to go against the grain and pursue this career that you're not seeing many women? I mean, you were probably in class and I don't know, you were either the only
guys,
one or countable women, and you actually saw it through. Actuarial is not an easy course, so
it's not. I took
Alex-
common units.
It's can
trust.
testify. So
Yeah.
what made you feel that this is what I want to pursue? And did you know that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life at that time when you were deciding this is the career path that you're choosing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So when we were in high school, I believe I was the top math student in my year.
Wow.
And we would have what they call, it's like math competitions. So each province, there are 9 provinces in South Africa, would meet up, and then the best students from the schools would meet up for what they call math Olympiads. So I was already sort of elected as someone, or identified by my teachers as someone who could potentially go into a field which required mathematics. And so actuarial and accounting was probably the ones that they kept highlighting to me as potential fields I could go into. But they always kept telling me actuarial science is really hard. It's really, really hard. We don't know if you can do it. Like, we don't know anyone who's been able to get into uni, get out and qualify. And I was like,
that's the one.
that's the one.
I love a challenge.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm the kind of girls. I mean, since as long as I remember, every time I'm given a challenge, I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not just gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how to do it. As well. Yeah. So that's how I got into the career. Of course, as you grow with age, you start, thinking, is this exactly what I wanted to do?
Yeah.
But I think everything that happens in one's life is for a reason. And even though I probably won't practice actuarial science for the rest of my life, I think the journey I went through has helped me in now empowering other women who find themselves in similar situations.
Yeah.
I love that.
Amazing.
Okay,
Amazing.
that's really interesting. I think you can now proceed from where you had left off in terms of your journey.
Yeah, so I started my workplace or my work experience journey in that sort of setting, and I truly felt I didn't belong. Going for lunch with people who had holidays in Disneyland, and I only could talk about trips to the village with my grandmother, the typical holiday for
Yeah,
a
December.
Kenyan child.
Shags.
Shags.
So did you used to come to Kenya, or you had family in SA, or like you all moved to SA?
Yeah, so we would visit Kenya quite
Okay,
often.
okay.
And I guess we'll talk about the story of how I've landed back here.
Okay.
But visiting family was very much a tradition
Yes.
that we kept in our family. And so I just couldn't relate. I love sharing this story because it's so real. I remember I think it was the first work lunch we had. We went to a Japanese restaurant. So you can imagine the cutlery that was brought out for us to use. Chopsticks. And I am looking at these chopsticks and I'm looking at these dumplings and I'm like, how am I going to pick these dumplings with these chopsticks?
Yeah.
And so it was just such a different world. And, you know, it seems like such an insignificant thing. But when you're sitting there in a table of 20 other professionals, and you're supposed to know, but you didn't even know that you're supposed to know these kind of things, because that's like deemed as etiquette on the table. And you're there and you don't know, you just all of a sudden just feel like you don't belong. And that feeling kind of just keeps increasing and increasing every time you have those experiences. And I share this because I had to rewrite for me what it means to belong. And I had to realize that there was no way I could rewrite my past. My parents raised me the way they raised me. And there were things that probably ways they raised me that maybe it doesn't serve me now, but I can't be victim to that anymore.
They raised you how they thought was best.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so, I had to figure these things out by myself. And, you know, they definitely affected, you know, how you relate with people in a social context will affect how they treat you in a professional context.
Yeah. But also, I think the industries you've mentioned, the finance, the accounting, the tech, there's a certain way I'd say, go out of their way to kind of make you feel left out if you're not that certain kind of person. You see, like those people in, like, I don't know if you watched Suits, or I don't know, like, there's just a way that they, on top of being the only woman or the only person of color, there's also just that culture that they have that is it's a lot to take in. If you're, especially when you're getting into it, it's like you have to be this persona of what a business person in this industry is supposed to look like. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's almost like being yourself, or saying that, I don't know how to use these chopsticks, is almost like taboo yourself. I mean, you don't do this rich people thing. Yes. Like, you don't know how to
imagine, like, as if you're supposed to know everything. Okay, yeah.
So I think I completely understand where you're coming from.
And maybe also cliquey.
And cliquey.
Yes,
very cliquey.
Very much cliquey. And that would affect the project. So I started off in a consulting firm. And that would affect the projects I would be put on, because if, you know, the manager is a white man who watches rugby and does all these things and takes his kids to Disney, and I'm there and I don't really have common stories to share with him, it's going to be awkward. He's going to feel awkward putting me on his project. Yes. Because how are we going to relate?
Yes. Wow. So finding yourself in that environment is very tough. And I've been having a conversation with a very good friend of mine. I won't mention her name because this might be slightly personal, but I won't overdo it. She's in a European country and they speak a different language, and she got a job. But the job initially was working from home because she was back in Kenya, so it was easier then. But now she's in the office. Everybody is speaking this language. And, you know, whoever she's working with directly also speaks this language. It's kind of like the accountable Black people in the office. So she was just sharing with me, she's finding it very difficult to find her place. Not that she's not good at her work, but when they even go for lunch, when they're having conversations, now do they have to code switch into talking English to be inclusive, or you know, the things that they like, I'm not really liking. So finding that place has been quite difficult for her, and I think it's almost similar to the experience you were having.
Yeah, so I definitely made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure you can imagine one of the mistakes I made, and I've learned from it, is, first of all, I tried to fit in, you know. So I tried so hard so hard to try and fit in. You know, I would even literally start watching things that I didn't even like
Wow.
certain sports, so that at
So that
least
you can
on
really
Monday,
go back,
yes,
something.
when the weekend news
Oh.
is being shared, at least I can
Oh,
contribute
yeah.
to some of these
Oh,
conversations.
yeah.
And you know, I learned how to use chopsticks.
Hmm.
I asked one of my friends at work who was so gracious to show me. But you know, in that process, I also realized, hang on, I wasn't being true to who you are. And when you're not in your full authenticity, you actually can't operate at your full potential. So it was actually hindering me. I thought I was doing it to move ahead in my career, but it was actually hindering me because I was not being who I really was.
And plus, maybe you go and like, okay, you're making a comment, and guys in the office are like, oh, okay,
Now
I
she
guess you watched the game
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it didn't come out as natural as you're
natural.
thinking it is. So
Max
instead of
Verstappen that you're talking about,
instead
who
of
did
fitting
the-
in, they're like, Sasa, what is she? You know, trying too hard.
Like,
So it's
I
sort of
guess it comes out when you're trying too hard. Like it comes out, and then you're that
Max
person who's
Verstappen.
trying too hard to fit in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
people through those things.
Yeah. They might not say it, but they definitely do see through
Yeah.
any form of inauthenticity. And
Yes.
even in meetings, like I would try, you know, naturally I'm, you know, calm, sort of peaceful. That's just my demeanor. And I would try to be this, you know, boisterous, kind of, you know, challenging kind of person, you know, a type of aggressive, but it also wasn't working. And it didn't really achieve what I thought it would achieve. And, you know, I had to rewrite the version and really think of the version of me who is in my fullest potential. Who is she? And just be true to her and believe, first of all, that there was a place that would see me for who I am and where I could thrive being 100% myself.
you.
Yeah. Because the truth is that there are places that won't accommodate my kind of personality, right? And sometimes we have to go through those experiences. You know, toxic workplace is a real thing, right? So I don't think it's also right to say that everywhere you go will accommodate the kind of person you are. You've got to find it, but you've got to first to know for yourself who it is that you want to show up as and what is the version of you who is achieving, who is thriving, who is at that top level in your career. How does she carry herself, and then start being her now.
I love that. Wow.
There's something you've said that you can't operate at your highest self when you're not in an authentic environment. And I think a lot of people go through that. You know, you try, even me in school, I dropped out. I was doing financial economics. I discontinued. I didn't drop out. Does not sound so. Yeah, so even we had units with the actual students because it was in the same school. And I was just in those classes and I'm like, I did go for math contest, but it wasn't as serious, you know. I was like, I got an A in math, but this is not it. Like I knew, okay, I can complete the program, but when I go out there, will I be operating as the Alexia that I was created to be, you know? So it was those decisions you had to make because, yeah, I was just like, okay, see you guys, you know, it was good while it lasted. But yeah, I feel like, as you said, you operate in your highest capacity when you're doing things that are authentically you or being authentically you.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people with those workspace and environments, not out of choice, but out of circumstance. Like there are people who fear looking for the next step because you'll be surprised how when you're in that space, you convince yourself that you can't get better opportunities rather than this one that you have. And so you convince yourself that this is the space that I need to be. If I need to fit in, I'll need to figure it out. But you're just not authentic. You're not happy. You always try your best to find a job that occupies who you are. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I think a challenge in life is just finding a job that works for you. It's just I think it's definitely a challenge, but for some people. But I think, you know, someone like me has been blessed to be in a very very is a strong word,
Decent.
in a decent work environment, but I never feel the need to not be myself in that space. And I think that's a blessing in disguise, because I do know people who every day they go to work and it's just misery after misery in being in that space. And yeah, so I'm wishing you guys all the best if that is you. Okay, so now what's the next step after realizing that, okay, then this is not the environment for me? How did you take the next step to essentially get to another opportunity and also get to come back to Kenya to work here?
Yeah. So hopefully my former employer is not listening, but I did start looking for jobs, like really seriously started looking for jobs. And I started asking the right questions as well. So one of the things I didn't ask before I started my first job was, what does your diversity approach look like?
100%.
How are you ensuring that the workplace is inclusive? How many Black people do you have in your team? How many people of color do you intend to recruit? And what is your approach or strategy in making sure that they are represented in all levels of the team and of the organization? And I think I just empowered myself, and I also looked for for mentors, and I was fortunate enough to have people in my little circle who had experienced similar sort of workplace experiences in their in their journey, in their careers. And so, well, fortunately, I got engaged to my now husband in this process.
Nice.
And so I relocated to Kenya. So in this process of, finding myself and, empowering myself and, leaving that victim mindset and looking for a new place. And I actually had gotten some good opportunities. I then moved over here to Kenya. So Kenya was different. It was different challenges in the sense that, I come here, I'm very young, almost fully qualified as an actuary. I think at the time there were probably only 20 qualified actuaries.
Wow.
But then everywhere I would go, they would say, well, you're
Overqualified, yeah.
You're
Now it becomes
now it's like the
Yeah.
Too
other
good
way.
for this.
Yeah.
Too good for this.
Yeah, so different challenges, and then just having to reinvent myself and accept that maybe how my career is going to transition is not going to be the way I imagined it to be, envisioned it to be. But yeah, actually the job I now have, I got it through a network connection on LinkedIn.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
LinkedIn literally got me where I am, and I worked through the ranks.
LinkedIn, guys. LinkedIn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not sleep on LinkedIn.
Don't sleep on LinkedIn. That's how I got my content writer, because she just reached out to me
On LinkedIn,
that she would like to be a part of whatever it is that I'm building. So that app, yeah, that's where to be, guys.
Yes. So there is no excuse. And it could take a month, it could take a year, it could take 2 years. It took me 2 years, and in that transition period, I looked for other opportunities that weren't necessarily mainstream actuarial, but at least I got the experience. And I was fortunate enough to get a manager role at a local bank, and then moved into where I am now at an audit firm.
Nice.
The one with the green dot. I won't say which name it is. You can go and look for it. Yeah. And so new challenges. And now I'm finding myself in this role. And 2 years down the line, actually less than 2 years, my boss who had recruited me suddenly left.
Wow.
And he left me with a team. I didn't even know how to lead a team. Everything just felt so new and just so unfamiliar and so uncomfortable. And now I'm finding myself having to lead this team.
Wow. Into the deep end. Like,
yes.
That's what I like to hear. Women in positions of power.
Leadership.
I am on board. And not only that, I think you've always been such a powerful woman from the stories that you're mentioning. Even in your workplace, as much as you struggle to to maneuver your way around it, it's the fact that you even got into that space. Because I'm sure even when you were coming in, everybody in the office was like, who is this person? And who is this person of color who's managed to go through this process? And it seems like your math is out of this world.
The math is mathing.
Math is quite literally
intensely.
Nice.
And yes, wow, that is such an inspiring position to be in, and to I think your things always turn out the way they're supposed to eventually at the end, and it's such a blessing for you to be in that position that you managed to get yourself into. So that's a big
Props.
Thank you
Props
so
for that.
much. Thank you.
So now you're a manager.
Yes. So
And
now I'm a
you've
manager.
been left with a team.
I've been left with a team, and I've got to figure things out. And at the time, we're actually even transitioning departments. And so now it's a new department, new team leader, me, and I'm reporting to someone new that I didn't know before. So everything just felt so uncomfortable and so unfamiliar. But the catch to all this is, in this again, I kind of lost I wouldn't say I lost myself. Maybe those are
Your
too
balance.
strong words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Unstable.
I just put my all in my work. Everything. At the time I think I had my child when I was put in this position. And then I still was a manager. I still was at the same level, still earning the same amount. And I should have used that opportunity to leverage
100%.
and realize that, no, this is not what I signed up for. I now have more responsibilities.
And they won't bring it up. Very few employers will be like,
Exactly.
like,
But
well,
they
we want to
promotion-
offer you more.
Promotion comes with the funds.
Yes.
Please, can we
Promote the account. Promote
the
the
account?
figures.
Exactly. So, I mean, someone on the outside will be like, oh, but now you took your boss's job. So ideally you should be paid your boss's
amount.
pay.
Yes.
And you should be given the title that he was given. But that didn't happen for me. Again, another mistake that now I get to empower other women with. And, it took me 4 years to get from manager to director. But again, I always say it's for a reason, so I could help other women do it in 1
nothing
year,
is not
do it
in
in
vain.
6 months,
Yeah.
and learn from the mistakes I made.
Sorry, after your boss left, after how long within these 4 years of you being a manager, then moving to director?
So he left in 2 years after
2
I
years.
Joined the firm, and then
And
it
then
took me now
2
another
years.
4 years
Another 4 years.
to literally get his position where he was.
That's crazy. So it took you 4 years to was it the same salary throughout those 4
No,
years?
so I was
At least-
fortunate enough to
okay.
I said, okay. I can breathe now.
No, but still, I
Yeah.
was literally doing his
You were
role.
the director.
I was the director. I was the leader. I still even joke with my boss now, because one of the things they made me do is change my title on LinkedIn to actuarial leader of the firm. But that pay did not, reflect what I was putting on my title on LinkedIn.
What?
Yeah. So
Anyway, but I like your attitude. I love your attitude, because you're like, okay, now I can empower other women. Now I can. You don't have to go through what she went through. And that's a good attitude.
I think it's also 50-50, because some would say that Gen Z, especially, or the younger generation, have an attitude of, if I'm not getting this now, then I don't want to be here anymore.
Yes.
And some would argue that that period of time that you were still waiting for that opportunity, you could see it coming, and you just need to persevere for this time, was the better decision for you to make. So I don't know, how do you feel about that how that analogy of maybe young people wanting it quick, and maybe that you deserve better, but you don't push through to allow yourself to get to that point, versus sometimes just seeing it through and it'll eventually give you a reward?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And I see it a lot even in my team. Like nowadays, I'm not even I try to not be emotionally attached when someone, brings up the news that they're leaving.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to also be very self-aware of where you are and what is the value of the work that you're bringing, right? Does it actually reflect what you say you want, right? There has to be some sort of congruence between the two, right? Otherwise, then you'll just find yourself job hopping from one place to another, right? So there is benefit in, staying in one place, learning, especially if you find yourself in a team where you can learn and be mentored by someone who is, an exemplary leader, right? Because especially in the advanced stages of your career, it's no longer just about you punching in work and deliverables. you've got to work and elevate your executive presence. You've got to become more strategic. All these things are not things that just come by you learning or doing an MBA, which is great. They actually take time. They take time and experience. And you've got to put in the time to get that experience out. And so I think there's a balance, and really having that self-awareness of, are you leaving because the organization actually doesn't recognize the value of your work? Or do you maybe need to put in more time so that you can build that executive presence, so that you can build your strategic and your leadership skills, and then transition into those higher levels of, leadership in your career?
I love that response.
Yeah, I feel like it's not one size fits all, and I know the narrative that's being pushed now is job hunt, stay 1 year, next, next, and job hop. And I also like how you've said, is it serving the purpose that you have for yourself? Is there direction even in that job hopping? You're just doing it for the monetary benefits, which are good, but in the long run, you said maybe sticking it out for a year or two and actually trying to get strategic may actually pay off.
I think so. But I also think, okay, speaking from a tech perspective, that's why I am these days, guys. Just allow it. I think they preach job hunting a lot. I mean, job hopping a lot. It's like you stay in a tech company for 2 years, you probably should start looking for your next one. And I think it's like an 50-50, because I also think management is also kind of that way. I feel like tech companies, like, it's almost like I was seeing a TikTok saying, I watch TikToks a lot. It's like there's an invisible gun held to your head, where it's like, okay, we're not gonna fire you as long as you do your KPIs. I'm like, okay, but can you release the gun from my head so that I can actually focus on the job, but it's actually distracting me? But I think from my experience, it's like you're always on edge, and maybe there are huge tech layoffs, and that happens a lot, or maybe you're moving from job to job. So for me, I think that's my trying to find a balance. So, I mean, I do enjoy my job. I love working where I am, but it's also just like, how long is my lifeline supposed to be here, and when should I know it's time to move to the next one? So that's just, I don't know if there was a point to that, but the point is there's a bit of unsteadiness compared to some other very strict corporate guidelines. You're reporting to someone and keep growing until you actually, not unless maybe you work for, I don't know, Microsoft, but even then, last year they just had this year huge layoffs. So I'm struggling. Maybe if you work in
sit
tech,
down
you
with
can let us
Rebecca
know.
also.
We need to know. Sit down with Rebecca, and she can mentor me.
And
maybe.
you figure that out.
figure
But I think,
that
as I said, it's not one size fits all, because even for you, I know your current job allows you the freedom to also do this. You may get to somewhere and they're like, okay, I want you 8 to 5, Monday to Saturday. And you're like, yes, the check is coming, but what I value is the flexibility, and people value different things.
It's true. So what do you value for yourself before you commit to another job? Okay,
Amazing.
I like that. Okay, so now you were saying how you almost felt unsteady because now you were having your kid, but you're giving your everything to this job. So how was it balancing motherhood with now this new position that was, I don't know, lead?
Director. It is director.
That time it was
in
lead.
quotation marks. So I think, and everyone has a COVID story, right? Everyone has their story of how they changed their perspective of life. And I think for me, that was when I started to realize that, no, this is not the life that I signed up for. And I am going to be an amazing mom, and I am going to do well in my career. So I literally embodied and embraced the identity of, I get to do both. Right? Before that, I had this mindset that
You had to choose.
I had to choose. That I either put my all in work, do everything I can, show them how committed I am at the expense of my family. I had that mindset, even though I didn't say it to myself consciously, how I behaved actually showed what I was thinking subconsciously. And I had to start to reprogram my thinking around that. and start to also lean into, some of the good things about being a leader is you get a team to support you, right? And you don't have to do everything yourself, which again is the curse of the high achieving woman, as I'm sure you know. It's very hard to let go of things that
Yes.
you're so good at doing. And I had to learn
Do
how
it
to
all.
do that more. And I had to learn how to lean into my support system, both at work and at home, and start to focus on the things that were really critical and important for me to do in my workplace, and let go of everything else. And I think through that process, I was able to create more time, create more energy for the other areas in my life that were just as important. Because I always tell my fellow women who are also moms that when you're a great mom, you can actually also show up better for your employer, right? Because you're not thinking
True.
at the back of your mind of and feeling guilty that you didn't spend time with your kid,
Yes.
or is everything okay, or maybe you left things half done before you left for work, and you're just in
Not
two
present.
places.
Yeah.
You're not like fully present at work. So I think it's important as women for us to really embrace that identity and the power of that we get to do both, and we can do great in both. And we really need to let go of those old identities, which I think are also projected to us based on the workplace, right? Because you go to the workplace and you go to a boardroom, and everyone in there is, or most of the people are men, and their wives are housewives, right?
And so here you as, oh my God, my kid needs something. You feel shy to actually acknowledge that I do have kids. Like I can show up the same hours as this guy. But yeah, I think embodying that I am a mother
And I'm here.
and I'm here.
And I'm your director.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything is fine. The house is not burning down. Guys are taken care of. But I like what you said, leaning into your support system, because you can't do it alone. And it doesn't make you any less powerful, having routines at home, having people who help you at work and all this. I think, that's what genuinely I believe has helped you. Yeah, just having that system that's flowing and things are going well. Yeah. And I like also what you mentioned, that when things are good at home, you're also able to show up better for your employer. There's nothing worse than, as you said, you're at work, you're thinking, who's going to pick the children from school? Will I make it for homework today? You're not present really, and that can actually affect your output, and even give now some of the men grounds to be like, yeah, that's why you should be at home.
It's my,
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting.
Okay. So, I mean, and what advice would you say you have to moms out there who are maybe thinking of maybe entering the corporate workspace, or
Getting back.
or struggling to, balance both, feeling that, okay, you're saying it's easy to do both, but is it really easy? How do you manage to actually do it, like practically? And yeah, just basically any advice you have towards that kind of direction.
Yeah, very good question. So I think the first thing is to know which season you're in. That's something I tell my clients, women who I mentor. You've got to know which season you're in and embrace that season fully. So if you're a new mom, you've just had your child, or even in the first year, I wouldn't advise that mom to go full into her work. There will be a time when it's time to now, turn the dial up and, start really working and building your business case for that next promotion. But probably in the first 6 to 12 months of you having a newborn baby, that is not the season to do that. Embrace the season that you're in and be fully present in it. If that means flexi time, if your employer does give it to you, make use of it, because there will be a season when you won't have that
it.
flexi
They'll be
time.
like, that child is 3 years old. Why do you want flexi time?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then when you are in that season of, okay, now it's time to turn the dial up at work and work on your business case for your promotion and, your leadership legacy, or the kind of leadership identity and brand you want to build, then it's to think of, okay, what is important for my family? Like what is important, and I think you've even got to personalize this to each of your children. So like how my son looks at quality time is different to one of my twins. So one of my twins loves it when I do work with her. My son just wants me to be there, even if he's watching TV or doing something. He just wants to see me there. So I might as well even be on my laptop as long as he sees me there. That's quality time. And so I think it's important to just really think of what is important to your family, not what people say is important, because quality time means different things to different people.
It looks different,
Yeah. And then prioritize. So I cannot be like, the typical soccer mom at every single game for my son's school. But I can dedicate or commit an hour to planning for the bonfire night or to packing gifts. And I can do small things here and there. And that will make a difference, that my son will appreciate it, right? And I think it's important to know, like I said, know the season you're in, know what's important, and be at peace with it. The reason why a lot of working moms struggle is because they themselves are not at peace, because they're trying to live up to societal norms and expectations that maybe don't even make sense for them in the season that they're in their life.
Wow, I like that.
And then how do you feel about now? Okay, maybe you were that girl at work, and then you get pregnant, and then you have a kid, and then that transition back into the office, you're saying it takes 6 to 12 months, and
playing
you kind
catch
of
up.
have to kind of play cool. I think it could get depressing, especially for a high achieving mom, or someone who was really on their game, and now they have to kind of tone down because things have changed. Do you think that changes the perception of not only the mom to themselves, but also the people who work in that place? Like, oh, now she has a kid, we can't give her these projects, or just the attitude changes towards you, or opportunities are no longer being presented the same. How do you think about that, or how do people balance those emotions during that period of time? Because I'm just imagining, even for myself, like I feel I am a high achieving person, and then now having to take a break, and it's like I really just want to get back to the game. I don't know how I would handle that transition.
Yeah, that's a really tough question, but I'll answer it in the best way I can. So, I think when you're at peace with, or when you know and you've embraced the season you're in, it becomes easier for you to accept that, yeah, I cannot put in a 12-hour work day and punch that in every single day. But when I am at work, I can do these things and completely ace them, right? And knock it out of the park and do this one or two things really, really well. So I think it's also important for you to pick and choose which of the things at work are really important for you in your role, and also having that conversation with the stakeholders and the people with the purse strings at work, so that you're not putting focus on things that actually don't have a significant impact in how people perceive you and your leadership brand, but you try and focus on the one or two things that you can do really, really well, and focus on that and be fully present there. And it still doesn't mean that you can't continue to, progress in your career. It just means that the path in which you're going to do it is going to look different potentially to how you've done it before.
Okay.
I think
That's a good
acceptance
response.
also.
Acceptance.
Like just in the back of your mind,
While you
especially
are pregnant, you start accepting that okay, things are about to change.
And I think also realizing that if it's for you, it's for you. I don't think this is a barrier. As you said, it may just look different from what you had envisioned, but you can still go after your goal and whatever you wanted to achieve, and lean into your strengths. And
so important. And I was just about to say, and I love the point you said about leaning into your strengths. It also doesn't mean you can't expand. Maybe how you've been working before you had a child, maybe it was actually 50% of your capacity, but you didn't know that. Maybe you can actually reach 80% with the baby at home, because you didn't even know that you can expand into that new level of capacity, right? It's like lifting weights. The first time you go, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
5 kilos is too much. And then you do it and you do it and you
Gets
do it.
light even.
It gets lighter. You start doing
Yeah.
10 kilos. Before you
Yeah.
know it, you're lifting 30. I think that's how motherhood is
Okay.
about. And it goes back to the first point we talked about at the start, where we were saying there's nothing you'll be given that
That
is
you can't handle.
you can't handle. Exactly.
Your
Okay.
capacity.
Wow.
Amazing.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think my heart is full. I don't know if Alexia, you have anything else
I
to
think
add, or
I'd like Rebecca to speak on what she's doing now in terms of helping women and how people can get access to those services and all that, because I think it's
Yes.
amazing that you're giving to women who are in your position, who are, you know, even us trying to figure life out, and so that our audience can know how to reach out to you.
Yes, absolutely. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I have a special gift for your audience. All you need to say, just tell me that you listened to this episode and on Banter Over Brunch podcast, and I will send you a very special free gift, complimentary.
Ooh.
And
Ladies.
do we also get the
Of course,
also emails?
yes.
Okay. Oh, Belinda. Oh, that's so lovely.
For me, I'm on a mission. I always share my mission is to get 10,000 women into leadership positions. I don't know how that's going to look like, but I'm just taking action every single day and like sharing these nuggets of wisdom from my experience is one of the ways in which I'm doing it. But if you want deeper support and you want to really delve into your promotion strategy, maybe you want to do some inner work on your self-confidence and your self-belief, which is so important and very critical if you want to rise up the ranks in your leadership journey, feel free to reach out. And
This is me
happy
reaching
to
out.
support.
This is me reaching out, Rebecca. I need you. I want you to guide me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, I love that, and I love everything that you're doing, especially for women. And this has been very inspiring. I think every woman who listens to this will go home having taken away something beautiful from everything that you've said. And yes,
I have a question. The coaching that you're doing, is it specific for a woman who is in corporate, or it could be a woman who also is in her own business and an entrepreneur? Is that also
like, what's the scope of women that you're open to coaching and mentoring?
Alice, that's a good question. So I do specialize in women in corporate careers and really helping them in learning the ropes of getting promotions, moving up from manager to director position. That's like my specialty. But I do also help women with self-confidence, right? And really depends on what you want and where you feel, because business is also a career in its own. You might be doing it as a self-employed person, but it is also a career, and you also have milestones that you want to reach. So the best way for us to assess if my coaching program is a good fit for you is for us to get on a call. So feel free to reach out to me, any of the other women who are listening to this. I'm on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I hang out on there almost every day, and we can take it from there and see if if it fits for what you need and where you want to go.
Okay, but I like the aspect of actually working on the confidence, because I think also when women get into business, sometimes it's very rough. It's like, oh, okay. And so as much as, yes, it's not about promotion in like a corporate setting, it's like, how can I better improve myself, better show up for myself even in these spaces, because also business requires networking, requires pitching and all these things. So I think it fits well for women. So we're going to leave your details on the description box, and remember to mention Bant Over Branch podcast.
Remember, you read that email without Bant Over Branch, you're not getting anything for free.
Amazing. Any parting shots maybe you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Alice and Alexia. I'm really honored to have shared this space with your audience. And one of the mottos we share in the community that I have built, which is called Be the Boss Club, for anyone who's interested.
Ish. Mhm. We're here with a big boss.
Yes. We are embracing that identity. And so one of the things we always say there is massive action creates momentum for measurable impact and results.
Wow.
Right?
I love that.
You've got to take action. You cannot continue to be in a victim mindset, especially if I know a lot of women get into their careers excited and then they get stuck for years. You've got to take action to get yourself out there, because you're the only person who can create the results you desire in your career.
We cannot add
We
anything,
don't
please.
do nothing. Yeah, thanks.
Hayo si machache ni mengi. Amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca. We are absolutely honored to have you on the podcast. I think we've not had someone of this particular caliber.
This is amazing. Of course, everybody that we bring on the podcast brings some lovely gems to share with our audience. But this is just one of those that we are definitely proud to share with our audience in this conversation. And yes, you'd also let us know if you get a couple of DMs or emails from Bantova Branch, and we'd be more than happy to give you that opportunity as well. So we hope people are able to reach out to you.
Yes.
And yes,
amazing.
I'm wishing you all the best in the rest of your journey, and as you build everything that you're doing right now, and your coaching services as well, your director role in parenthood, just wishing you all the best.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. So with that said, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm sure this is an episode that you can share with at least 5 people.
You really can.
At least. And that one I've given you like minimum. This is a episode that you need to share with a lot of people. Again, get in touch with Rebecca. Be sure to mention Bantova Branch podcast to get something small. And yeah, looking forward to many boss babes. Boss branches.
Boss branches.
I love that.
On here. So get on your Zoom. Massive
Zoom.
Action.
Massive action. Yeah.
Amazing.
All right.
Okay,
well, I
guys.
think we can close off the episode.
Yes.
And we shall see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.